So it's not a bad ride at all. It's just, I think, maybe a little bit unlucky in the timing of when I'm reviewing the shoe, because I've just been running in some absolute bangers. So a couple runs done and dusted in this shoe. Now this is the 361 Degrees Eleos, and these are my first impressions. But before we get into it, if you guys want to support the channel and you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, so this one is a neutral road running shoe, certainly in that daily trainer category. And price wise, well, it's a little bit all over the shop because it depends where you buy the shoe. Now, if you go through the official 361 website here in Australia, this shoe actually retails for $300, but they've got a 2-for-1 deal, so that equates to $150. And I've checked the US official site, and this does retail for $145 US. Now, if you're a bit of a Scrooge like me and looking to save some pennies, I got this one on the Taobao World app. And I got this one actually for about $55, worked out to be about $80 Australian. And I think at the moment, Aliexpress has them for about $140 delivered as well. Now, it's worth to note that this is not the same model that you are going to get on the official 361 websites. This is like the older model, the 2024 model, like the international line. There's a few different features about this one. It's like it's got a different upper, the tongue's not gusseted, and this version doesn't have the ortho light inner sole as the Western, or the models that are available in the Western brands do. But apart from that, the shoe is pretty much very similar. Now, with the weight, very impressed here. So I've got 237 grams or 8.4 ounces, and that is a US 8.5. And in the stack, we got 36 in the rear, 30 in the front, and that's going to give us a 6mm drop. And in the upper, well, if you're going to get the cheaper international line version, like I did through AliExpress or Taobao, the upper material in this shoe is more like a jacquard mesh. It is very similar to what you're going to find in the Super Blast 2. So quite robust, very thick, but the breathability probably could be better. Pretty solid heel counter at the back there, plush amount of padding around the heel collar. Probably a plush padded tongue as well, but remember this version doesn't have the gusset. The one available on the official websites will have the new upper and the gusseted tongue. Standard eyelets down either side, big, plush, puffy laces that do get a bit tricky to try to slide through the eyelets because they're just a bit too plush. No issues with the laces coming undone. However, struggling to get the right laces pressure through the middle. So I'm either making it too tight or not tight enough. But I'm getting no heel slippage in the back. Now in the fit, so I'm using the size chart when buying these Chinese shoes. So I'm going off my foot length, which is 260mm or 26 centimeters, and that equates to, in this shoe, a US 8. And that I've just got enough room in this. But overall, I will say the fit through the toe box in this model, it's probably on the narrow side, so it's certainly not a wide foot friendly shoe. And there's also, I'm going to say, quite a low amount of volume in the toe box as well. Build quality though, I am very impressed. The materials in general, and just the build of the shoe is really top notch. Stepping comfort is not too bad either. And in the outsole, so two types of rubber on the bottom of this one. So in the front forefoot area, they've got what they call their gecko grip. This one is a little bit more of a softer, tackier compound. And in the rear, they've got what they call their heart rubber, so high abrasion rubber, obviously a little bit more robust there, just to handle our foot strike. Now, what I do really like on the bottom of this shoe is how the rubber is placed, beautifully segmented off, letting that midsole splay. So lots of exposed foam here through the middle of the shoe as well, which I really like. Now, performance-wise, in the grip, obviously excellent in the dry. Really tacky, and you can really feel like, you really kind of feel connected to the road with this big white platform and this gecko grip in the dry conditions. However, in the wet, had a wet run in this one this morning, and it's a bit like an ice skate, I must say. So on a wet road, and on one of those footpaths where you've got those exposed pebbles, yeah, this one very slippery, so a little bit disappointing there. Durability wise though, way too early for me to tell. And in the midsole, so the foam they're using here is what they call their Primo foam. Now this Primo foam, I believe, is a supercritical PEBA, possibly a blend with EVA. So I've read that in a few places, but then in some places I've also read that it's just a supercritical PEBA foam. So someone out there, if they are 100% sure, let me know in the comments. But this foam, to the look and to the touch, it is very familiar to FF Turbo, so the original version that they used in the Meta Speed series, and also the original Super Blast as well. Yeah, to the look, to the touch, it feels very similar to that. Now, one big slab of that, no plate in the shoe. Rigidity-wise, we've got a bit of a flex here in the shoe, so not a super flexible shoe, but yeah, we've got a little bit of flexibility there. Twist test, a little bit of play there as well. In the geometry, so to look at it, it looks like quite a rocket shoe, and especially with a little bit of rear bevel there. But I must say, on the run, I didn't really feel the rocket sensation in the shoe too much. And in the ride, well, I've had two pretty different experiences with this shoe. So the first run was just on the treadmill, and I was actually quite impressed with how it performed. So really smooth it felt, nice roll through. I felt a good amount of protection, but I know that the true test is actually when you go out on the road, on the hard surface, to see how this foam is really going to react, and that's what happened this morning. So I took it out for an hour, and I must say that I was a little bit underwhelmed, so I was expecting a little bit more. Is it a soft shoe? Well, I don't call it a soft shoe. It's more of a firmer type responsive shoe for me, because as a lighter guy, it's hard for me to dig into these foams that are like that feel a little bit resilient. So yeah, you can push it in, but for me, to get anything out of these foams, I need to be really putting some force through the shoe. So running a little bit faster than what my normal jogging pace is. Now, it does feel different depending on where you strike in this shoe. So I was playing around with how I should strike in the shoe. So if I was landing more towards the outside of the foot like so, I did find it quite soft, so quite compressive here out on the edge of the shoe. But if I was landing quite square on, yeah, I wasn't getting much softness or much bounce out of the shoe at all. So yes, you feel like protected, but just not much going on for me. So not much excitement, just a bit of a meh ride. And also playing around with trying to find a sweet spot in the shoe as well. Landing through the rear, yeah, that's where probably most of the foam is, and most of you're going to get anything out of the shoe is. But I tend to, once I get into a rhythm, I don't tend to land right through the heel. I tend to land through the midfoot, and I put a lot of force through the forefoot. That's just the way I naturally run. And for me, I found I didn't quite have enough cushion here through the front once I got into my rhythm. So I probably liked a little bit more softness here, or I'd probably like a little bit more softness and a little bit more cushion here through the front. But all in all, not a bad ride, just not blowing me out of the water. So nothing amazing about it. It's just a daily trainer that provides some cushion. Not overly bouncy, not overly soft, but again, not overly firm as well, just somewhere in the middle. Now on the run, I was also trying to rack my brain of what other shoe this did remind me of on the run. And it kind of reminded me of the old Hoka Mach 4, if you guys can remember that, with that really sort of wide flared base. And not a bad, not a really smooth roll through, but again, I didn't get much out of that foam as well. It was just one of those meh shoes, you know, like nice and protected, pretty smooth, but apart from that, didn't offer much else. So that's probably the feeling that I'm getting out of this ride. What was impressive about the ride is just the stability. This huge, big, wide base gets you really confident going around corners, up and down gutters. I quite like that. And I also appreciated how it felt, or what is going on with this gecko grip. So when I wasn't slipping in the shoe and I was on something where it actually enjoyed to grip into, I actually felt quite connected to the road, especially up here through the forefoot. So likes in this shoe so far, certainly the weight, the price, and I also really appreciate the build quality. And dislike certainly has to be the lack of breathability in the shoe, and also the grip in the wet. And just wrapping up my first impressions here, so a bit of a mixed bag so far. So I really enjoyed the treadmill run, but as I said, a little bit uninspired by how it performed on the road on the hard surfaces. So it's not a bad ride at all, it's just, I think, maybe a little bit unlucky in the timing of when I'm reviewing the shoe, because I've just been running in some absolute bangers with those lightweight super trainers, or those up-tempo running shoes. So I think my expectations now are a little bit high. So now I'm running in just your standard daily trainer, and I think that's why I'm feeling a little bit underwhelmed. So probably a little bit unfair here on the Eleos just with where I'm at. So I will give it a few more chances, but certainly with all those other shoes waiting in the shoebox waiting to be running, I'm going to find it hard to be reaching for this one to get a few more Ks in it, because those other shoes are just exciting me a little bit more. But I'm not going to give up on it. But overall, yeah, not a bad shoe. Not a crazy exciting shoe. It's just a cushion daily trainer that can probably do the job. Moving forward with it, predictions wise, who do I think it's gonna work for? Well, yeah, I don't find too many people will not like the shoe, because there's not a lot wrong with the shoe. It's just one of those daily trainers that will just do the job. So daily miles, your recovery runs, and yeah, maybe a long run or two, depending on how this foam holds up over the time. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. That is the Eleos. They are my first impressions. Any questions you've got regarding this, or any tips you think I should persist, the foam's going to change with it, let me know. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.